forecast for this one, 15.6. And Rita devastated Lake Charles. And so the fact that we're going to see potentially, surge 15.6 feet, remember, the 100 house is about 10 feet high. And so you have to put it all in perspective as you're watching these storms come in. And we've never had a 4 or 5 make landfall in this part of Louisiana. In fact, we've only had 3 known Category 4s make landfall in Louisiana, and 2 of those in the 1800s. And then there was Betsy in 65, if you remember that one, but it came in the mouth of the Mississippi. This is wild, guys. Look at this shot right here, and we are nowhere near the eyewall yet. It's going to take probably another couple hours, so you want to stay tuned to the Weather Channel, because when we get in that eyewall, so long as we can broadcast and don't lose our signal, these days we actually broadcast via the internet, a Wi-Fi signal. So as long as that can stay up.
Louisiana is currently getting fucking walloped. And Stephanie Abrams with that big beautiful rack is on the scene. She should take that Weather Channel jacket off. Show those fucking knockers. I should have had a hurricane, but fuck it. Time to like a video. Hurricane Laura, Cat 4. Too bad it didn't hit fucking Florida and fucking level that shithole state. Multiple.
Yeah, drop the beats. In the planet of Earth, I am the most famous person of the world. Everybody knows who I am, even the people who don't know who I am. Because I am very super famous, super famous, super famous. Very super famous. A lot of people know I exist. I am very super famous, super famous, super famous. Very super famous. You are not, so you are shit. All around the world, people know who I am. Even in the Chinese countries like Japan. North, south, east, west to east. I make their panties wet like basements in New Orleans. In the French language, girls say mon moitié génito. Spanish girls also say
a whole state, more or less, of Louisiana, all the way through the morning. We could still have a core, Stephanie, of hurricane force winds that gets all the way to Shreveport. It doesn't get there until about noon, maybe 1 o'clock local time. That is a long duration event. For so many, this is not just a coastal event at all, Steph. You are right about that.
Yeah. Mark, I appreciate your information. Also, let me catch my breath there for a second. Now let's switch to, there's so many different aspects of this storm, and I'd like to cover as many as we can here right now. The surge. That water is going to push in while the rain is coming down, and that gives us a really exacerbates the problem, because that rain is going to want to flow out to the Gulf. Meanwhile, the Gulf is coming in. When is that all going to play out?
Right now, that is a significant storm surge, a life-threatening storm surge that is on the way. That eastern eye wall is picking up the Gulf of Mexico waters as Stephanie's kind of, bending down against that wind. That is part of the eye wall coming through. The northern extent of the eye wall isn't quite to Stephanie yet, but there are these big bands rotating around our system coming right into Lake Charles. That's helping to force the wind down from aloft, bring it all the way down to the surface because of that heavy rain. It's transporting that wind aloft down to where Stephanie is. Back to the potential for storm surge, though. At the coastline, widespread alerts for this storm surge. Storm surge warnings are up. We're talking tens of miles inland with storm surge warnings, and these are numbers that you just don't see every day. We're starting to see a water rise at the coast 4 to 6 feet, but there's a potential here near Cameron, for example, 15 to 20 feet. That's into the second floor. The second story is going to have water into those levels. If people are still there, they are in big trouble. And we are watching that kind of event move through southern Louisiana right now. We'll be towards Lake Charles towards, say, 6 in the morning or so, with the worst of that timing for the Lake Charles area. So, Steph, it's just ramping up. From here on out, you're going to watch that river behind you continue to climb.
I'm telling you, I'd point out, I'm sure it's very hard to see. I don't know if you can see it at all. The water is definitely coming up, not quickly, very slowly. It is absolutely coming up. All right, we're going to take our camera that is on the balcony to give you a better view of the river. Again, it's a Calcasieu River that's right behind me, and that is what is going to inundate us here. There is the camera. I know it's hard to see, but the wind, the rain, and the fury of view of it, but that's the beach. Just to give you some perspective, remember this shot right here, okay? And we'll see as we go back to it, you see that brown area on the bottom? That's the beach. So how much will that beach be covered up the next time we go back to this camera? Well, try to remember what it looks like right now. You can get some perspective. I mean, it's what? Let's see, it's 12 o'clock local time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And you can see there's still plenty of beach left, right? So try to remember that. Around midnight local time, still plenty of beach. But I want to check in with Jim. I know he's been doing some repositioning. Jim, where's your location right now? We are getting hammered. And it's just getting worse and worse as we anticipate.
Yeah, so we're just on the front side of the barrage, stepping through here. Obviously, you know, what I think is happening a little bit with you two is you're getting the bounce, if you will, off the backside of the building, just enhancing those winds. Because you look out over the parking lot, you can certainly see the steady stream of wind going through the lights and through here. It was interesting, the arm of this parking lot actually just kind of opened on its own, which was really weird. Nothing even drove through there. Obviously, it takes weight on either side of the pad to open that. But we had a weather flow station in Cameron, Louisiana, gust to 110 miles an hour. So that's high-end Cat 2. So somewhere near Cameron, we're probably going to see a landfall here very shortly. The Northern Eye Wall is obviously coming in there right now. So they're about 28 miles as the crow flies from where we are right here to our south. So, due to the timing, another hour and a half or so, we're going to get into that as well. We've already gusted to pretty close to hurricane force. Calcasieu Pass has been in the 80s as well, and we continue to see power outages really ramp up here. At last count, that was over 10 minutes ago, we had 35,000 just in Louisiana alone, and we know those are going to ramp up big time in through here. So, again, Steph, let me ask you this. Even though you're getting hammered there, has there been any kind of a change in the wind? You notice a change in the direction at all, or is it just basically due northeast at you?
Yeah. Okay, so it's interesting you say that because I feel like it had been northeast for a while. And now I want to say it's just coming right down this boardwalk, Jim. I mean, there's nothing stopping this wind from us. And that's why it is so intense. I have zero shelter where I'm located. So it's just rushing up. Now my crew is completely sheltered. As I mentioned, my boat dog doesn't even have his rain gear on. That's how protected they are. But I want to ask you, because I know you've been walking around your hotel. Chris Bruin is reporting some trees down. Have you seen any trees down?
I really don't, Scott, because I'm trying to look down all the roadways that are lit back through here. You can certainly see the trees that are in the parking lot, the landscape trees. They're pretty much taking everything from what we see, but it really depends on where you are, and I think a lot of that has to do with the funneling effect. If anybody's watching this from Chicago right now, you know what happens when you walk between the buildings, right? It's called the Venturi effect. The wind accelerates going through, because it has to go through a smaller area, so you get an increase in speed in that wind, and that can certainly, be a part of the trees down. The other thing, too, Steph, is there's just a lot of trees down here, okay? There's a lot of trees in South Louisiana. Phenomenal amount of timber, eastern Texas, all the way up to the Louisiana-Texas state line into Arkansas here. So we expect, especially with this thing holding together, with this eye wall, you saw the model data today actually showing the eye going all the way up, almost to Kentucky, but not necessarily the eye, but at least the circulation center, pretty much intact So that's where some of the strongest winds are going to be. The rainfall continues to be very, very heavy. We mentioned that gust at Cameron, Louisiana now 110 miles an hour. So that's high-end Cat 2. Well, remember, 111 is Cat 3 there. So we're right on the borderline. That's probably going to go up as they get into the teeth of that eye wall, and that is all coming our way. So the next hour and a half or so, or maybe even sooner, we're going to get into that. So Steph, again, give us an update back there, how difficult it is to stand up.
Jim, it's a little hard to hear you. I think you asked about how difficult it is to stand up, and it's getting stronger. And so I just want to know, and I know you can speak to this.
Man, oh man, those jugs are getting fucking walloped. It's a hurricane.
So you went, we got a little bit of a breather there. You went into a wind tunnel to see, what strength you could stand at. And I want people to understand that you really cannot stand out in sustained hurricane force winds. And these are just gusts that are coming through, right? We're not at sustained hurricane force. We gusted at 72, Hurricane 74. But Jim, from your experience in that wind tunnel, maybe you can give our viewers an idea of really what a human can stand in before it's too strong.
Well, as we know, Steph, whether you're on Mount Washington trying to do the Mile High Club up there, and walk around on the deck and make a circle standing up without going down, it's very hard, remember, because it's got to be, winds are going to be sustained for over 100 miles an hour, and not many can do that at all with staying on their feet. So, especially when there's wind and even rain involved, there's a mass in rain, so that's hitting you too, pushing you back. But I actually think that the fact that you're there is a little bit more truth, frankly, to what is actually going on with this hurricane now, because we're getting the gust to what kind of wind that you're standing in. Okay, we've gotten 70, 80 mile per hour gusts very close by us here. I'm a little bit more protected, certainly, but we're waiting for those winds to come around. They will. They'll come around, especially if the cellar goes to our west. They've got to come around this tower. It's southeast. It'll go east, southeast.
Oh, the swill, we're there.
But Cameron, you're just about to get an eye and a potential landfall here as this thing comes on into Louisiana. And of course, this area is seeing a tremendous amount of water. It's nighttime. I can't even imagine the folks that stood behind what they're going through right now, especially with these winds up over 110 miles per hour. That's just one anemometer. Right, Steph? We always talk about that in HQ, how you've got one anemometer, but that doesn't necessarily reflect everything that's going on. And granted, that's more for convective storms that you miss the max gust, but still, you don't always necessarily get the max gust even in a hurricane either.
Yeah. And I want to talk to him about landfall, just so, I had a conversation with Dr. Britt now, but what do you consider the actual eye wall? And people on social media found it very interesting. And so I want to talk about these little nuances, Jim. Landfall is when the center of the eye passes over land. It's not when a little bit of the eye gets in it. It is the actual dead center of the storm. And so that's just academia, but since we are in this, I would also like, just an education up here too. So it's that center coming across. Unfortunately, here in Lake Charles, we have a worst case scenario of being in the eye wall for the entire time. It will last for hours. It will be devastating. It's already a historic storm. We've never had a Cat 4 make landfall in this part of Louisiana. We're back after this break.
Weather warfare. Can't go for premium mold liquor, it's refreshing and fucking delicious. Zero fucking door foam.